Picture this. You finally bought a stock, maybe it doubled. Or you bought a small property, and suddenly the price went way up. And what's the first thing most people think? Perfect. Time to sell and take the profit. Feels responsible, right? Feels smart. But here's the strange thing. The wealthiest families in the world almost never do that. In fact, many of them follow the exact opposite strategy. They don't sell their best assets. They keep them. Sometimes for 50 years. 70 years, even 100 years. And once you understand why, it completely changes how you think about money. My name is Trump, and I spend way too much time thinking about how wealth actually grows over decades. If you're someone who works hard, earns money, but still feels like real wealth is always just out of reach, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're talking about one of the biggest financial mindset differences between the middle class and the wealthy. Look, most people are taught something very simple. Buy low. Sell high. Sounds logical. But here's the thing. That advice is great for traders. It's terrible for wealth builders. Because the biggest fortunes in history weren't created by constantly selling assets. They were created by holding them. The math behind it. Let me show you a simple example. Imagine you invest $50,000 into a stock portfolio earning about 8% per year, which historically is close to the long-term average of the market. After 30 years, that money becomes roughly $503,000. Pretty good. But here's where it gets interesting. If that same investment stays untouched for another 30 years, it grows to over $5 million. Same investment. No extra money added. Just time and compounding. According to historical market research from large financial institutions, most long-term stock returns actually come from just a handful of the best-performing years. If you sell too early, you often miss them. And that destroys compounding. Psychology of selling. Now, you might be thinking. Okay, but taking profits feels smart. And honestly, psychologically, it does. Humans are wired for certainty. When we see a profit, our brain says, lock it in before something goes wrong. But wealthy families think differently. They understand that selling resets the compounding machine. And compounding is the real engine of wealth. Here's what most people don't realize. Selling also triggers taxes. Capital gains taxes can take 15% to 30% of your profit in many countries. So when you sell, you're not just stopping compounding. You're also giving away a huge chunk of your gains. This is where it gets really interesting. Wealthy families use a different strategy entirely. Instead of selling assets, they borrow against them. Let's say a wealthy family owns a real estate property worth $5 million. They don't sell it. Instead, they might borrow $1 million against the property. Why? Because loans often have very low interest rates, and the asset itself continues increasing in value. So they get access to cash without selling. And without triggering taxes. Meanwhile, the asset keeps growing. Stocks. Real estate. Businesses. All compounding in the background. This is one of the quiet strategies used by wealthy families for generations. A simple analogy. Think of assets like fruit trees. Most people pick the fruit, and then chop down the tree. Wealthy families keep the tree. Because every year, it produces more fruit. And eventually, it produces more trees. That's compounding. 3 practical steps. So what can you actually do with this information? First, focus on acquiring assets, not just income. Income pays bills. Assets build wealth. Second, hold quality investments long-term. Selling should be rare. compounding needs time. Third, think generationally. Instead of asking, what can this asset do for me this year? Ask, what could this asset become in 30 years? That shift alone can completely change your financial future. Look, the reason rich families stay rich isn't because they're smarter. It's because they understand something most people never learn. Wealth is not built by constantly moving money around. It's built by owning things that grow, and letting time do the work. If this video helped you see money a little differently, make sure to subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Because on this channel, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about building wealth that lasts for generations.